Yo, what's up, guys? We're back with another video. Today, we're going to be looking at a video from Majin. We have proof that MrBeast severely violated human rights. So there was another video released by, I forget his specific name, Dog something. But this time he brought in a former MrBeast employee to talk about it, and I think that's what he's talking about here. So let's get right into this video.
Well, guys, I never thought I was actually going to say this, but it turns out MrBeast, aka Jimmy Donaldson, is a war criminal. He has so casually inflicted
Interesting. War criminal. What did he violate some Geneva conventions? Is he Poland and Canada over here? Is that what MrBeast did? Mr. War criminal over here? Instead of MrBeast,
psychological torture on an ex-employee that he literally breaks down crying.
This was the employee that got interviewed by I forget what his name was. I think he might link it in the video. Let me look at the description. He might have linked it here. Dog packs. Yep, dog pack. Yeah, right here. That's the video. He was basically in Dog Pack's videos, a former employee of MrBeast who got severely traumatized by MrBeast videos.
While trying to recount
let's go into it.
Forget about Ava Chris Tyson. This is not even related anymore. This is about Jimmy as a person and how terrible he is. Because Ava truly was the tip of the iceberg. One of the highest ranking members of MrBeast YouTube LLC for a long time was a known criminal on the sex offender registry.
Oof.
His criminal record states that the person he did these things to was extremely young. We're talking under.
You had a guy you didn't even do a background check in that was on the sex offender registry, and you just let him work in your studio. And a lot of your videos target children. Oof. You didn't even do a background check on this guy to check?
13 years old, and he was only fired recently with allegations that MrBeast YouTube LLC is trying to clear his name from public record. Because of course, they don't want this to bite them in the ass. Things are getting extremely serious. Let's talk about it.
Hi, we're Visible. Get set to travel this summer with a wireless plan that'll keep you connected on the go.
Shut up, Visible.
After uploading...
I mean... It seems like when you get as big as MrBeast that you're gonna have people working for you that you probably need to do like extreme background checks or behind. Like it seems like an extreme oversight that you let a guy like that work for you for so long. I'm guessing he worked for a little while because he just fired him. Like, ooh, it's a big problem. You're a huge organization at this point. You're the biggest channel on YouTube. And you didn't do a background check on this guy.
MrBeast, he's a fraud. The much anticipated sequel has finally come out, titled I Worked for MrBeast, He's a Sociopath. In it, we see Jake Weddle being interviewed, a stand-up comedian who used to work at MrBeast YouTube LLC during 2019 and 2020 as a writer and someone who appeared in the video sometimes. Like in this video, destroying my friend's car and surprising him with a new one. As you can see, he's right here, and he was one of the people who got his car destroyed, and it was meant to be a surprise. Like, oh, they're about to come out, they're gonna see this huge rock on the car, they're gonna think it's a meteor. He knew about it, by the way. This is when things would start to go from real videos to more staged and fake videos.
Okay. So this was all just like a staged... I guess like I would be pissed if you didn't tell me that you were destroying my car. Even if you were getting me a new one, I would still be pissed. So, like, I guess you could... I would have probably thought at the time that this was staged, too.
According to him, of course. Now, what happens next is that he notices that he's barely making any money compared to how much the videos are generating. And he talks about the political nature of MrBeast YouTube LLC, how if you were on Jimmy's good side and you praised him and you stroked his ego, you'd appear in videos more and he would give you random bonuses. But when you were on the bad side, and Jake Weddle was on the bad side, you would get nothing. He would be in videos all the time, but he would then get edited out of the videos most of the time. He tells this to another writer that he really likes on the team, like, hey, you know, maybe we could negotiate a little bit, we can let them know about how we feel, etc., etc. The other writer was reluctant, but Jake convinced him. They both go and try to negotiate, or at least argue their case, and they immediately just are told, well, cool, The next day they show up, they're fired. Of course, Jake breaks down crying here because he didn't want the other writer to lose his job.
Okay, so I've watched part of the video where he's talking about this. It was basically like, so Jake and this other writer who was like a father, he had a family, and Jake was getting paid. This guy was getting paid more than the other guy. He was like an African American guy who was like older, had a family, and Jake's like, you should be getting paid more. So they both went to MrBeast or the writer room, and they asked to get a pay raise, and instead of a pay raise, they got fired. And Jake basically blamed himself for getting the other guy fired because the other guy said he didn't want to rock the boat or something like that. But apparently, like, the guy found like a good job. They still keep in touch today, and he found like a good job or something like that.
He loved his job. But that was the nature of the workplace known as MrBeast YouTube LLC. He'd start working there in 2019 and was fired in 2020. He was actually very happy to be fired. He mentions how different Jimmy was off camera, how he had only one thing on his mind, to be the biggest YouTuber, and has no sense of any human empathy. When he would be giving people life-changing amounts of money, he'd be hoping that they cry, being like, yes, please cry. It will be so good if you cry. It'll be so good for the video. Almost like nothing he was doing was real. Jake moves on from this, and by 2021, he had...
I mean, to be fair, he was still giving like homeless people life-changing money. It might have been begging him to cry, but he was still giving them life-changing money. I would cry if somebody gave me that money, and I don't really need it.
Moved to New York to work on his stand-up comedy career. He gets a phone call from his ex-employer, MrBeast YouTube LLC, in which he's pitched an idea for a video he'd be starring in. According to him, the pitch made it seem like it was going to be paradise. It was going to be very simple. You're just going to sit in this room, chilling, on vacation. You have an ice cream machine. You have a bed all to yourself, a bath.
I think this pitch was basically for like the 100 days in like solitary confinement. I think this is what this is going into.
Everything you need, really. All you have to do is survive in this
room. Like the Green Day stuff that he's got in the background and the shirt.
Room for 100 days. And even better, every single day you sit there, you get $10,000. Only the last 5 days are going to be hard. You know, you're going to be tortured a little bit, but otherwise, easy. And to Jake, this meant two life-changing things. First off, he was going to be fully starring in a video, right? He's usually always edited out, and the editors told him it's because of his strong personality. So that's awesome. He gets to actually flex his comedic bones. And second, $10,000 a day. He comes from a very rough background. So this is a very life-changing amount of money. He said yes and went back to North Carolina immediately. Now, what many people don't know is that this video wasn't released, and it was a testing ground for the video that did release starring Jimmy, called I Survived 50 Hours in a Maximum Security Prison.
Oh my God. I survived 50 hours so he only did 50 hours in solitary confinement, but he made that other guy, Jake, that was just in there, I think he made him do it for like a week or two, like straight, which is just insane.
Actually,
and they didn't even put him in a video.
What mentioned, as far as I recall, in the video from DocPack was that the same set, the same exact room where they put Jake was used in the video. $10,000 every day you survive prison. Jake has given us pictures, and as you can see, it's the same exact set. And here's Jake himself. Jake says that while it may look cute on video, the facility had a lot of problems. The hot tub had no filtration system, so it would smell after 3 days. The ice cream machine's dairy was very strong, so it would also...
You're like in a confined room too, so that like stench is gonna be massive.
Be very smelly. This room had a septic tank. That was its plumbing system, so that also was smelly. Overall, it wasn't a very nice room.
So you're just stuck in a room with a septic tank underneath you, so you're getting all that fume into your body 24 hours a day. Dang, brother.
To be in. And
that sucks.
He just agreed to a challenge of staying here for 100 days in solitary with no human contact. He didn't even last more than 10 days. You have to understand, Jake is genuinely a victim. This isn't some sob story. He would literally start trembling and crying whenever he would recount
Yeah, I watched the video, and the dude literally seemed like traumatized from his experience at like Mr. Beast. It felt really bad watching that video. If you guys, I would recommend watching that video. It sucks. Honestly, it sucks what happened to him.
He was cut off from human contact, but the worst part was that they would not turn off the fluorescent lights. And he had no source of sunlight, no windows. He could not sleep. He still suffers of insomnia today. And the symptoms started during this challenge. Imagine being in a room, right? A smelly ass, small, stupid room, and you have no sense of time passing. You have no idea how long it's been, the sunlight, the moon, nothing, zero. This is what solitary is. It's meant to be torture. He wouldn't be able to fall asleep, and he was expected to do daily challenges almost. Because guess what? The cameras were rolling 24/7. He had to be entertaining. He had to make jokes.
I think one of the things that he had to do during like that video, what he talked about was he basically just had to run a marathon. Jimmy just came in there, no practice at all. Jimmy came into the facility, said, "Here's a duffel bag. Go run a marathon right now."
To look at the camera.
That's just wild. No practice at all.
Talking about if you watched the MrBeast video before. He of course complained about this, right? It's hard not to complain when you can't sleep. It's one of the worst things.
No does not mean no. When dealing with people outside MrBeast production, never take a no at face value. If we need a store to buy everything inside of, and you call the local Dollar Tree and the person that answer says no, you can't film here. That literally doesn't mean anything. Talk to other employees and see if any are fans or if have any kids that are fans are trying to talk to their bosses. Their boss's boss. Have me DM them on Twitter and try their social media. So basically, just no means no. No does not mean no.
Staff wouldn't budge.
Lol.
He'd get visited by editors sometimes, and they joke around saying, "Wow, man, everything okay? This footage looks horrid. It seems like you're going through a really rough time." Yeah, no shit. The guy can't sleep. He was able to briefly speak to one of his friends on set, telling him about the fact that they can't turn off the lights, and his—
Oh yeah, I forgot. One of his friends, he spoke to one of the camera guys, I think, or one of the script guys, and he told him they won't turn the lights off to let him sleep. And the camera guy literally said, "We can't even do this to terrorists in Guantanamo. This is against like the Geneva Conventions." It's right here too. Yes, the United Nations considers sleep deprivation to be a form of torture and a war crime under the Geneva Convention and the UN Torture Convention.
His friend jokingly said,
"Right, like he had to literally face war crimes.
You can't even do this to terrorists. That's sleep deprivation." And the worst part is, he's right. So at this point, Jake's already thinking, you know what, screw the money, I cannot do this for 30.
Oh, another ad.
30 days, let alone for 10. I need to get out immediately. Then Jimmy shows up, asks, hey, why is he sleeping? And staff says, oh yeah, he's having a hard time sleeping. And Jimmy says, well, wake him up. He pulls 2 briefcases and says, hey, that's pretty sick. The dude can't even get a wink of sleep until Jimmy comes in and makes him do a challenge. We have 2 challenges today. You want to find out what they are? And Jake at this point is sleep deprived. He's like, oh, hey, what are the challenges? Jimmy says, well, the first one is a Rubik's Cube. Jake says, there's no way I can do this. I'm dyslexic. It's going to be very embarrassing. I can't do it. Oof. Jimmy cuts the persona completely and looks at him and says, come on, just do it, for the challenge, for the video, come on. Jake manages to avoid it, but then the second challenge was running a marathon on a treadmill. And by that point, Jake knew he couldn't just say no. He was going to be forced to do it, so he did it. No practice. Running a marathon on a treadmill. He had just woken up and he is sleep deprived. I can't even run a marathon if I had practice. To 3 a.m. Let alone being sleep deprived and have to run a marathon. I don't know whether it was 12 p.m. or 12 a.m., but regardless, 3 or 9 hours, regardless, right? You're making someone sleep deprived and solitary run for 3 hours. 9 hours is a war crime for sure. He was allowed to take breaks, but by the end of it, a marathon is 26 miles, by the way. Think about that. While you're sleep deprived, don't have any experience running that, and you're forced to do it. His feet had massive
For a
blisters.
video.
I don't even want to know what they actually looked like, but it was probably horrible.
Big L.
They got the on-site psychologist to go talk to him, and the psychologist was like, yeah, dude, it's over. He can't do no more. All of a sudden, everyone was concerned. And he laughs about this. He says, well, guess what?
They had a psychologist who had to stop this whole thing.
That night, they decided to turn off the lights. The next day, all the staff is there to comfort him, all his friends. You know, he does specify that a lot of them were talking, voicing the fact that this isn't fair, this shouldn't even be happening, that they're treating him very badly. But of course, you know, they weren't the decision makers. Jimmy apparently sat there in front of him like an evil villain and said, like, some of the most cold things. Like, hey, you know, it was horrible, but at least you get to keep the money.
That's pretty cold, man. It's pretty cold.
He said, Jimmy said, can you say to the camera how thankful you are that now you can pay back your student loans? You know how hard it was to do a take of that? Then pretend to make it genuine?
Yeah. I feel bad for this guy. I feel really bad.
I don't want to beat a cage. But Jimmy's the guy with the money, and if you do what he says, he'll do what you want. You want your student loans paid off? You just be in this cage.
He got out of there and ended up having to pay $44,000 in taxes. So in reality, he got $56,000. Some people in the comments of DocPack's video argued that his symptoms showed that he has PTSD from this. Maybe. All I know is that he couldn't stop.
Man's got like crippling PTSD for the rest of his life for $55,000. Dang, bro. Dang. That sucks.
Crying thinking about it, and that to me is enough. This is literal psychological torture mixed in with war crimes. Jimmy has a lot to answer for. And now, other than Ava Chris Tyson being an absolute disgusting weirdo, we now know that someone who used to work there as a high-ranking manager was on the sex offender registry. The dude even appeared in videos, and for some reason, right?
Is it that guy?
Some reason chose to put on a mask. I wonder why he's trying to hide his identity. His charge is from the state of Delaware. The victim's age is from 1 to 11 years old. That is...
Dude. How do you not even do a background check for the... You're a huge company. You're the biggest YouTuber on YouTube. And you don't even do a background check for a dude that's on the sex offender registry. It's so easy to find.
Ridiculous.
You would just type their name in or something.
Young.
And you could find them.
Charges 4th degree sexual...
So they barely did the little amount of research it would take to find this, and they just let him work in a studio that caters to children, videos that cater to children, that sometimes have children in the videos. And this dude did whatever he did to a person between the age of 1 to 11.
Victim less
That's
than 18
insane
years
to
old.
me.
The excuse of, oh, I didn't know, doesn't pass now, Jimmy. This is ridiculous. By the way, you know how MrBeast has this philanthropic project called Team Seas, where he clears oceans and seas and beaches of trash? Well, it turns out he left heaps of trash during the filming of a video near a body of water.
At the end of that video, he actually says,
And if you're wondering, yes, we did ensure the lake was completely cleaned up after this video.
DocPack ended up emailing the site in which MrBeast filmed, and they confirmed that he did indeed leave a lot of trash in this area. Interesting.
Oh.
The video
So he just lied about not cleaning up his trash and destroyed a lake. Wow.
with Jake
Why not
crying,
just clean
but
it
this time
up?
thanking DocPack profusely for finally letting him talk about this. Something that he's been hiding inside of him for years. Not just out of fear of repercussion from MrBeast and his company, but also because he doesn't want his friends to lose their jobs. This isn't just some other controversy anymore. People's lives...
This is big now. This is like what... The Ava Chris Tyson stuff was small compared to all of this stuff that's coming out now. It's just like abuse after abuse, crime after crime. It's not great for MrBeast, man. Not looking great, boys. Not looking that great. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end it here. If you guys did enjoy, Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe. Have a good one.